Okay, so let us start. So already I gave you introduction about PHP. I think not complete introduction, but how what softwares are required for running a PHP application and all. So I've shown you the directory structure and all, what software to install. All these things I told you in the previous class. So now let us see uh, how to create a small PHP program and then run it by placing it some directory. See, when you are creating a PHP application or any other server-side scripting language application, you need to follow some directory structure. There will be a directory structure that you need to create for every application that you're creating. As such, even PHP also follows this directory structure, but it is very, very simple when compared with other technologies. Like in, for example, servlets and JSP, you'll have a little complex directory structure, but coming to this PHP, it is very simple. Fine. So where to store your programs means your C drive after you install XAMPP, so you'll get this folder XAMPP. Okay. So open this XAMPP folder, then you'll find a folder called htdocs. htdocs, right? So open this htdocs folder. This is a place where you need to create your folders for every application. For every application, you create one folder, and in that folder, you put all the PHP files or XML files if you are using, if you're using style sheets, external JavaScript, anything that you use, you can put in that directory. And in that directory also, you can follow some structure. It is up to you, so that you don't have any confusion. You can put all the PHP files in the immediate directory, and within that folder you can create separate folders for storing images. So at all, if you are using images in your application somewhere in some program, then you can put all the images in a folder called images, and all the CSS files or style sheets if you're creating, you can create another folder for that, styles or CSS, and put all those files in that folder, right? So here, uh, let me tell you, I'm going to focus more on the functionality, creating functionality using PHP, that is creating dynamic content. And the CSS part, it is up to you. I already taught you how to use CSS, right? So you can use that CSS concepts and make this web pages more attractive. But here, when I'm teaching you this subject, PHP, I'm not going to deal with all the CSS part, right? Because if I have to deal with CSS, then every example program or application that I'll show you will require a lot of CSS to be done. And if I have to sit and write the CSS code also, apart from PHP, it will take a long time. So I'm not going to use that. Even if I'm showing some earlier programs, if I have those programs, I'm not going to explain you about the CSS part. It is your duty to understand that CSS code. I'll only deal with the functionality that is created using the PHP. Okay. So here in this folder, for example, I've created a folder called regular. So this folder is created for creating an application which uses a registration page and a login page. Once you get registered, you can log into your system. Uh, Let me start this XAMPP control panel also. So I'm starting Apache and MySQL. I'll minimize it. So I'm going to create this application contains a registration form, register, and then a login form. And once you log in, you're going to be redirected to a home page. So we require a home page for that. So 3 different pages you'll have, and all these pages will be created using PHP only. Then you have something called some .php files for establishing connection to the database. So as such, you'll have these folders. Let me show the folders files. So there is a file called dbconnect.php, home.php, index.php. Index.php is the page which will be opened whenever you load this application with the help of the web server, Apache web server in the browser. Right? So you need not mention index.php file in the URL when you open it. You simply have to uh, type only up to this address, reglogin. So till here, if you type this URL in the browser's address bar, that is sufficient. But anyhow, this is not the exact URL. Instead of XAMPP, htdocs, cdrive and all, we need to use local host. Fine. So let me tell you what we are. These are the list of files you have: view profile, view update profile, register. Then after logging in, you can log out. For logging out, we are creating another separate file. So in that way, we are going to have many PHP files in a single application. So all the PHP files related to that application must be put inside a folder by creating a folder in this htdocs. So open the htdocs folder, create a folder here, and then start creating your PHP files and storing them here in this folder. So once this is done, how to open these files means, how to open that application means, first you need to start this Apache web server and MySQL services, and then use localhost here, right? Slash, what is the folder name we created there? reglogin, reglogin. Right? So we type that folder name, and if that folder contains index.php file, then automatically that index.php file will be open. So this is the index.php file. Even if you don't specify that index.php file, nothing will happen. Even if I specify index.php, same page will be open, right? So the web servers are designed in such a way. Any web server, not only Apache web server. Later you're going to see Tomcat web server. So all the web servers will open by default a page called index page, right? If that index page is not there, then it will list out in the browser what are the files available in your folder. Say, for example, this is having index HTML file. So look at this folder. It doesn't have any index files, right? So what is the folder name? Project. So if I type project, look at showing all the project files that are stored in that directory. So project is in the parent directory. In that you have members.php and p2.html file, and when they have been created, date and time will be displayed, right? So this is how a folder, when you open it, if it doesn't have an index page, then it will be opening that way. So look at the file names: p2.html. This is p2.html, and this is member.php. So the same, both are them, and when you click on them, those pages will get opened. So you'll get an error because we need to go from some other way. Fine. So this is how you have to create folder and create all your PHP files and save them in a folder and open them in the browser like this. So this will be open only when you start this Apache web server. Say for example, if I stop this Apache web server in MySQL, right? Then okay, so this site can't be reached because the web server is not on, right? So earlier, for HTML programs and JavaScript programs, we didn't require this web server and all this. Right? So without switching on this, starting these web servers and all any other softwares, we are directly opening the uh, file by mentioning its URL, or directly if you can double click on that folder, on that file, automatically they get opened. For example, now here in our htdocs folder, going back to regular. So I'll try to open this using the browser. I'll open with this Firefox. So now what is it saying? Getting this one. This is not going to work because of web server is not started. Okay. If we start the web server, then it will start. Okay. Fine. So let us get back to our actual program. So now that you understood how to create a folder and then start writing the programs, I'll tell you now how to create a PHP file. Let me create a folder first. Create a folder here. So look at where I'm creating under htdocs. I'm creating this folder. I'm creating a folder here. This folder I'm going to save my PHP file. Let me save this as index.php. I'll save this file as index.php. Always remember one thing. The home page that you want to display whenever you open this website or web application, it must be given a name index. Whatever may be the technology you're using. You may use a simple HTML file or you may use a PHP file. If you're using HTML, then you have to use index.html. If you're using PHP, index.php. If you're using JSP, index.jsp. Like that, you need to create an index file. From it is just like index page in your textbook. So once you go to index page, you will get the information about the page numbers of various topics in which they are located. Right. So in the same way, index page will be like an entry point to your application. So you need to create a index.php file. Though your application will work without creating this index.php, but it is always suggested, it is a best practice to create a index.php file as an opening page. If at all if your application is having a registration and login system, then the index page must have a login page, right? And there must be a link provided at the bottom of that login page, so that if you are a new user, you can click on the sign up button and then go to a registration page and create a user account and then log into this application. By most of the time, there will be existing users. There will be many existing users. Right? So, for their purpose, what we'll do is, instead of creating the registration page as a home page, index page, we use a login page as the index page. And from there, for new users, we'll provide a link to get registered, because new users will be less when compared with the old users after your application starts uh, getting becoming popular. Say for example, you take Gmail application. Whenever you open a Gmail application in your browser, which page will be open for you? Sign in page will be open, because it may be a number of times you may be visiting this page, because you every time you want to log in and log out, you'll open this page only. But registration page, how many times you'll open? Only one time you'll open. Once you get registered, you'll be opening only the login page, right? So the page that is going to be opened frequently, that is login page, will be put as index page. That is the convention we follow when creating web applications. Fine. So now I'm creating index.php file and storing it, saving it in a C drive. So find the exam folder, and in that htdocs folder, and what is the folder I created? CSCC, right? So this is where I'm saving my index.php file. So once this file is created. Now how to write the PHP program? So all the PHP code can be written by following a syntax like this: angular bracket open, question mark, PHP, and at the end you need to use question mark and close the angular bracket. And in between this angular brackets opened and closed, you need to write the PHP code. So to write the PHP code here, I'll start writing a simple statement which uses or which displays some message. Okay, so in any programming language like C, Java, Python that you learn, you must have written a hello world program at the beginning. So to print that hello world message, we'll have some predefined functions or methods in all the languages, right? Like in C, you have printf function. In Java, you have system.out.println. In JavaScript, you have document.write alert. So similarly, in PHP, we have two functions. One is echo function and the other one is print function. But we'll use most of the time echo only because echo is marginally faster when compared with print. And I'll tell you the difference between echo and print. There is a very little difference between echo and print statements, but we'll be using only the echo statement. I'll tell you later what is the difference. It is a very small thing. You'll know about it once we start writing the program. So for now, I'm going to use echo statement. So echo statement, after using this echo in the double quotes, you just have to give whatever message you want to display. Let's say I'm creating a message like of PHP. Right? This is the message I want to display on the browser's window. So simple message, simple program. Open the angular bracket, then the question mark. Without any space, you write the PHP. And then at the end, close the angular bracket. Before that, you give a question mark and then close the angular bracket. In between this, you can write any PHP statements. And above this, you can also write a HTML statement. So that means what? We can combine HTML program in your PHP file along with the PHP file. Just like how we have written JavaScript and HTML code together, we can write PHP and Java HTML together. But the thing is, you need to save this file as .php. At least if even if a single line of PHP code is there in your page, then you need to save it as .php file. You can save it as .php file even though there is no PHP code at all, right? But if at all if there is a PHP code, even if single line of code is there, you cannot save this file as .html. You have to save this file only with extension .php. When you can save this file as .html with .html extension means when you don't have at least one line of PHP code, even if this is blank also. If at all if you have opened this PHP tag and close this PHP tag, right, then you must definitely save this file as .php extension only. So when you're using JavaScript, you'll use the script tag. You'll open the script tag and close the script tag, and in between that you'll write the JavaScript code. Instead of script tag, what we need to do for PHP is we have to use this one. Open this and close this. Okay, and in between that, anything you write will be considered as PHP code. So above that and below that, you can write anything, any HTML code you can write. Say I'm going to write head and I'm going to write even the title also. Okay, I'm going to display the title as my first PHP page, and this thing you can put it in body section. Definitely you must write the PHP code only in the body section. You cannot write the PHP code head section. Even if you don't write this HTML code also, this program will work. Only if you write this piece of code also, it will work, right? So let me run this application now. So check whether your Apache web server is already started. So if it is started, then you can open it in the browser. So now I'll type localhost, and what is the folder name? CSEC, right? So I'm not going to type the index.php file name directly. I'll strike the enter key. So automatically index.php file will get opened. And what is it doing? It is displaying a message, welcome to the world of PHP program. This is what we have written here, right? So same. And within this, you can also use a HTML tags also, just like we did in document.write function in JavaScript. We can use HTML tags also even in this echo statement, so that it will be displayed using that effect, right? You can use background color, page. Okay, and you can write the CSS code also here in the head section. You can use the style tag and create a CSS code, create divisions, everything you can do along with PHP code. But wherever you want to write the PHP code, you can write the PHP code multiple times at different locations. Say after this message is displayed, I can write another, say, or before this I'll write some heading here. A line is equal to center, and use HT heading. So I'll put a heading called introduction to PHP YAML. I'll remove this message. Then so I'll write PHP is a server-side scripting language. This message I'm going to display, and here below PHP I'll write, say, for this one H2. Then here simply if I want to display something like a list, or I'll say create any list items. For creating dynamic content. So this is what I'm going to display in each of these list items. Before this ordered list, I'm going to display paragraph. So now look at this. The heading introduction to PHP program. PHP is a server-side scripting language. PHP is used for this. So in that way, I can write any PHP code like this. And after this, I'll write one more PHP code here. Right? So this is how you can write PHP code wherever you want in the body section. In between you can have a HTML code, and then after that you can have PHP code and again HTML code. You can combine HTML and PHP code in any way you want, right? So this is how you need to create a PHP page. Now let us discuss about some introduction to this PHP programming, a brief discussion, and then get back to some more example programs. So what is PHP? Is a recursive acronym for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. That means what? So in PHP, the first P stands for again PHP, and then HP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. So again in this PHP, the first P stands for what? PHP, and again HP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor. In that way, such a type of acronym is called as what? Recursive acronym. Right? So let us not discuss much about this recursive acronym. So PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. Then PHP is a server-side scripting language. Right? So I told you what is a server scripting language, and client-side, what is client-side scripting language, and what is server-side scripting language. We have listed long back during the introduction of this subject itself. Right? Then the next point is it is a powerful tool for making dynamic and interactive web pages. So your pages will become interactive and your pages will become dynamic. As I told you, what is a dynamic web page and what is a static web page. So using a PHP, we can create dynamic, we can make pages dynamic, and we can also make interactive, just like we have made using JavaScript. Even PHP, using PHP also, you can make the web pages interactive. Then PHP scripts are executed on the server, unlike the JavaScript, whereas JavaScript will be executed on the client's machine itself. So this is going to be executed on the server, and hence the name server-side scripting language. Then PHP files can contain what? It can contain text, it can contain HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP code, as I just showed just now, just before I showed you, right? So we have added HTML code and PHP code also, but we didn't add any CSS and JavaScript. You can also add JavaScript and CSS also. Then PHP code are executed on the server, and the result is returned to the browser as a plain HTML. So what is going to happen in your web page is all the HTML code is going to be executed in the browser, but the PHP code will be executed on the server. So in your program, this HTML code, all these things will be executed on the client machine browser. But coming to this part, PHP, what is this? Where is this going to be executed? It is going to be executed on the server, and the server will generate this output, whatever you have mentioned here, and that is given back to the browser. So the browser will get this one from the server, this message as a response from the server. When this echo statement is used, this echo statement will send this from the server to the client browser. Then in the browser, wherever you have used this echo statement in the browser window in your program, in that place, this will be displayed. Then again, this paragraph is displayed after this message, right, using HTML code. So this will be directly executed on the client machine, and even this also. But again, this one will be executed on the server, and it will be embedded in between this list and this body closing tag, right? So here you will get this message. So this is again executed on the server, and the response is sent to the return to the browser. So in your PHP page, except the PHP code, remaining everything will be executed on the client machine. Only PHP code will be executed on the server. And once the PHP script is executed, that output generated by that PHP code will be returned as a plain HTML text to your browser. Then whatever text is received by the browser will display that text as it is. If it is having a H3 tag, then it will apply that H3 heading, uh, then display this message. If there is no H3, then it will display in the form of a paragraph. By default, any text received by a browser from the server or even in your HTML program will be displayed as a plain text, which is nothing but paragraph tag. Okay, so this is what mentioned here. PHP code is executed on the server and the result is written to the browser as plain HTML. Then how are the PHP files stored means with an extension .php. So what you can do with PHP means you can then generate dynamic content and you can create, open, read, write, delete and close files on the server. On your server, you can create files. That means, for example, in any online applications, you must have uploaded your documents like your photograph or your resume or your any certificates or something with some specific size, right? So that means what? You can create files on the server and you can open the files from the server and you can read the content that is stored on the files of the server. You can also write new content. You can delete the file also. Say you want to delete your documents that you have uploaded earlier. So you will get an option to delete them. So if you delete them, they'll be deleted, right? And even close the file. So you can create, open, read, write, delete, and close files on the server. But these files are located on the server. Remember this point. Then PHP can collect form data. Form data means what? Just like we have done using JavaScript. Whatever data you enter in a HTML form and submit that data, we can send that data to a JavaScript function and display them again back on the screen, right? But here what is going to happen is instead of sending it to the JavaScript which executes on the client, you can send this HTML form data to the server, and on the server you can have a PHP program which will receive this data and then process that data. Process the data means it can do anything. It can insert into your file or it can insert into your database or it can perform some processing and send back results to you. Anything it can do. Then PHP can send and receive cookies. It can create and send and receive cookies. So we'll discuss about these cookies and sessions separately. They are very important topic in any web application. And you'll find this cookies and sessions in any server-side scripting language, not just in PHP. Only thing is syntax will be different. You can also perform this creation and open, reading, writing, and deleting and closing files using any other scripting languages. Yeah, and PHP can add, delete, modify data in your database. So you can interact with the database and insert new values into the database, or delete an existing value, or modify an existing value. All these operations you can perform using PHP over a database, but the database will be located on the server. Then PHP can be used to control user access. Control user access means what? You can create, just before I have shown you the login page, right? So how you are controlling the access to your web application? By asking the user to log in. Only if you are a registered user, you will be able to log in. If you are an unregistered user, you will not be able to log in. That is how you can control access to your application. And then PHP can encrypt data. You can encrypt data. So you know encryption techniques in computer networks. You must have learned them, or you may be learning this semester, I think. So you'll have some encryption algorithms. Right? Have you heard about an algorithm called MD5 algorithm? So there is an algorithm. So there are many algorithms in provided to you for encrypting data. So I hope you know what is encryption of data. You'll convert the actual data into a different format so that any middleman, any unauthorized person will not be able to understand what the message is actually. Right? Only the intended person will be able to understand that one. He'll have some key. So encryption key will be there, using which it will be encrypted. And decryption also you'll use that key and on the intended person's system. So only he can access that data by using that key. So this is what encryption means. And different algorithms are there. So PHP provides you with some predefined functions which use some of those algorithms to encrypt the data. So if you're storing your password, kind of any confidential information in your database, and if you don't want that password to be understandable to any other person, then you can encrypt that password and store it in the database. Even if someone accesses your database, they'll not understand uh, what that password means actually. So it can encrypt data. Fine. Then the syntax for PHP is already we have seen. So you need to open this tag and close this tag, and between that you need to write the PHP code. So example, this is my first page, PHP page. Right? PHP statements will end with semicolon, just like in C, JavaScript. Every statement will be ending with a semicolon. And then how to use comments in PHP. Comments in PHP, you can use the same two forward slashes for single line comment, and even you can use a hash also. Instead of two forward slashes, you can use a hash symbol, right? Just like you did in Python. This is also a single line comment. And if you want to use multi-line comments, open the uh, uh, forward slash, then asterisk, and then write multiple lines of comments and close it again with the same asterisk and forward slash, right? And coming to the case sensitivity of PHP, uh, just like any other programming languages, even PHP also has some keywords. All the keywords, for example, if, else, while, echo, etc. So these can be used. They are not case sensitive. You can use them in capital as well as in lowercase. But variable names are case sensitive. All the keywords are case insensitive, but variable names are case sensitive. So when you want to create a variable, if you create it first at the beginning using a small letter, then you need to use everywhere in your program. Whenever you use that variable, you have to use it in only small letters, right? So that is the meaning of case sensitive. Only variable names are case sensitive. Variable names, function names, arrays. You can create arrays even in PHP also. So all these associative arrays will be there, just like dictionaries in Python. You'll have something called associative arrays in PHP. So all these names are case sensitive, but keywords are no, they are not case sensitive. Fine. Then how to declare PHP variables means there is no specific keyword to declare a variable in PHP like in Python. So how do you declare variables in Python? Wherever you want to use that variable, you start using that variable with some name, right? Similarly, here also the same thing you can do. You don't have even a var keyword like in JavaScript, but the thing is, wherever you use that variable must precede with a dollar sign. So now this txt, for example, in this program is a variable name, but before that variable name, I'm using a preceding dollar symbol. So this is going to store what? A string, hello world. So no need to mention the data type like in Python, right? It is not strongly typed. It is loosely typed programming language like Python programming. So whatever value you assign to that variable, automatically the data type of that variable will become that one. Now because I assigned a string value to this variable txt, so the data type of this txt variable will become string. So if I assign a integer value, then it will become integer. If I assign a floating point value, it will become a floating point, right? But whatever may be the variable's data type, every variable must precede with a dollar sign. Not just when you created it for the first time, everywhere in how many instances you are using this variable, in every instance you need to use the dollar sign. Let me show you, for example, in this program itself. Here I'm going to show you, right here, say you're creating dollar a is equal to say some 10, and say dollar some b is equal to some 20, then we are creating another variable dollar c is equal to a plus b. So when you are writing a plus b here, even here also you need to use dollar a plus dollar b, right? So now the result is stored in c. Now you want to echo it, so echo that in dollar c directly. If you are displaying some string content, then you have to enclose in double quote. But when you are not using a string, you are using a variable to display it, so you can display directly like this: echo space $C. So if you run this program now, it is displaying the output 3. So if you want to display some message along with this variable name, variable's value, you can use double quote. So sum is equal to say, and after the double quote is closed, use a dot operator. Dot will act like a plus symbol in Java and JavaScript concatenation operator. Right? So sum is equal to 30. So in Java, we were using plus symbol here as a concatenation operator, but here in PHP you can use dot. Okay. So this is how you can display something using an echo statement. So that is how you create dollars, sorry, variables. Right? So, and have a note here. When you assign a text value to a variable, put quotes around the value. When you are using a text value, always put either single quote or double quote. You can use both. Unlike other programming languages, PHP has no command for declaring a variable. Like int, float, char. When we declare variable, we'll use these keywords, right? Even in JavaScript, we were using var keyword. Unlike those programming languages, we don't have any command for declaring a variable directly. We need to precede it with a $sign. It is created the moment you first assign a value to it. So whenever you write that variable name and assign some value to it, automatically at that moment the variable will be created. Then you need to follow some rules when you're creating PHP variables. So what are those rules means? A variable starts with a $sign followed by the name of the variable. This is mandatory, as I told you earlier. A variable name must start with a letter or underscore character. Either you can begin with a letter or a underscore symbol. Other than these two, you cannot use any other symbols. A variable name cannot start with a number. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscore. Right? That means A to Z in both the cases, upper and lower cases, and 0 to 9 digits, and then underscore symbol. Apart from these three, you cannot use any other symbols as part of your variables. Then variable names are case sensitive. So that means what? $age in small letters is different from $age in capital letters. Fine. So I was telling you PHP is a loosely typed language. Loosely typed means what? You don't have any keywords for mentioning the data type of the variable like Python. So in PHP, we need not specify which data type the variable is. PHP automatically converts the variable to the correct data type depending on its value. In other languages such as C, C++, and Java, the programmer must declare the name and type of the variable before using it. This already we have discussed about these things earlier. Then coming to the scope of the variables. So just like in any other programming languages, PHP also uh, has something called scope associated with variables. So in PHP, variables can be declared anywhere in the script. You can declare them anywhere. It is not mandatory to declare at the beginning like you do it in C and C++. In Java also, you can declare variables anywhere in your program, right? Uh, so you can declare the variables anywhere in the script. The scope of a variable is part of the script where the variable can be referenced or used. What do you mean by scope? The portion or the region of the script where you can access the variable. So that region is called as the scope. PHP has three different variable scope: local scope, global scope, and static scope. So what is global and what is local scope? A variable declared outside a function. So just like in Python, we can write code either within a function or outside a function also, right? So similarly, PHP script also can be written either using a function within that function body or even without a function also we can write, right? So if a variable is declared outside a function, then it has a global scope and can only be accessed outside a function, right? So now in our program, uh, I declare this variable outside a function. If you want to create a function, then you can create a function like this using the keyword function. Like in JavaScript, how we have a function, we even in PHP also we can create a function using the keyword function. Say I'm creating a function like this. Suppose I declared these three variables $a, $b, $c outside this function. The scope of these variables is limited only to this region. From this, that means from the statement in which I declared this variable, from here, from this statement, from this line. In this line, I can access it, but within this function, I cannot access it. After the function is closed, somewhere here, I can access it. Here also I can access, but if any function is there inside that function definition, you cannot access these variables. So these variables have what type of scope? Global scope. That is what mentioned here. A variable declared outside a function has a global scope and can only be accessed outside a function. You cannot access it inside a function. And a variable declared within a function has a local scope and can only be accessed within that function. If I'm declaring a variable here, for example, here I'm declaring dollar $d is equal to say 30. Then what will be the scope of this $d variable? It will be limited only to this function. I cannot use it here somewhere before this function or after this function here. Okay. Then you can have local variables with same name in different functions, because local variables are only recognized by the function in which they are declared. So I can define number of functions, multiple functions. Here in this function, I declared a variable with name d. Later, I'm going to declare another function. I'm going to create another function. There also, in that function also, I can have another variable called d. Even though their names are same, they are different. They are different physically. This d is limited only to this function, and that d will be limited only to that function. That is the meaning of the last point here. You can have local variables with same name in different functions, because local variables are only recognized by the function in which they are declared, because their scope is limited only to that function. So everywhere you can declare with same names in different functions. So look at this piece of code. $x is equal to 5. This will have a global scope because it is declared outside a function. Then I'm creating a function called myTest, and within this I'm trying to echo the value of variable x here. Variable x inside function is $x. But this is going to generate an error for me, because I'm trying to use this variable with global scope inside the uh, function myTest, which is not possible. Then I'm making a call to myTest function here, and if I echo the value of x here outside the function, this will not generate any error. This is not going to generate any error, but this is going to generate an error. Right? So let me write this here. I'll write function here. I'll try to echo this echo statement from here. I'll put it here after the function, and here also I'll try to echo the same, sum is equal to c. Right? Now let us run this program. We didn't make a call to the function. You are getting a warning message, error message here. Undefined variable C in this particular program in C drive, XAMPP folder, htdocs folder, CSEC, index.php on line number 23. So where is that line number 23? This is the line number 23. So you are able to see the line number here, 23, right? So this is where you're getting error when you make a call to this function. I defined the function, but I didn't make a call to that function. So if that function is not executed, then this error will not be displayed. Only when the function is executed, this error will be displayed. So that is the reason why earlier, when I didn't make a call to this function, no error was displayed. But after I made a call to this function, it is displaying an error now, right? Notice you'll get the output for the next one, but a notice will be issued. This notice will be displayed only when there is an error. Okay, so that is how you have to use local and global variables. Let me do one thing. I'll create another variable here, $C is equal to say underscore 30. Then what will happen? Error is gone. But sum is being displayed 2 times because I created a $C variable within the function my fun. So now this $C is different from this one. So to show you that it is different, I'll give T here. Sum is equal to 50 and sum is equal to 30. So this $C is a local variable which is limited, which has a scope limited to this function, local scope, and this $C is a global variable. So this variable's value will be 10 plus 20, 30, 10 plus 20, 30, and this C variable value is assigned as 50. So when you display it here inside the function, it will display 50. When you display it outside the function here, this will display the value of this variable C. Okay. Then look at this another example, same function. I have written the myTest function above the in the first line, and I'm declaring a $x variable which is local scope. So when I display this variable's value, it will be displayed without any problem. And I'm making a call to the myTest function here. But after that, I'm trying to echo the variable x. So this will also generate an error. This will generate a error. Why? Because this variable x is declared inside the function, but you're trying to access its value outside the function. So to do that, I'll declare this variable as d. I'll display this one as d here. This sum I'm going to display it before the function, and here what I'm going to display is d. Okay? But where is d declared? It is declared inside the function. So can you use it outside the function? You cannot use it. So this will generate an error. See, you're getting an error, undefined variable d on line number 28. So this is the line number 28. Okay, fine. And apart from this using local and global variables, we have a keyword called global keyword. So what is the purpose of this global keyword is, the global keyword is used to access a global variable from within a function. So even though you create a global variable, you want to use that global variable inside the function also. Normally, PHP will not allow you to access that global variable inside a function. But if you want to use it even inside the function, then to do this, what we need to do is, after, see, look at this program, $x is 5, $y is 10. Then you are defining the function myTest, and inside this function, you are redeclaring this $x and $y, $x and $y, and then adding both $x and $y and storing it in $y, right? Then you are making a call to the myTest function and echoing the value of y. Because both y and x are global variables, uh, even though you cannot access it inside the function, if you want to access it, you have to redeclare the same variables once again inside the function by using this global keyword. So I'll show it with an example here. I'll modify this program here now again. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to um, perform this $C is equal to $A plus $B operation here in this function. Create this global using the global keyword, declare $A and dollar. This is what we have done here, right? Dollar global, dollar X, dollar Y. Same thing we'll do here, dollar A, dollar B. So now even dollar $C is also required, right? I'm redeclaring. mm, So I'll put this in comment because I don't require sum to be displayed here. I'll display it here. I'll put this on in comment. Now you're getting the output. That means what? When you declare the variables outside the function, they'll by default become global variables and you cannot access them inside any function. But if at all, if you want to use them inside the function, then you redeclare those variables using the global keyword. Right? So even if I don't declare $C here, nothing will happen because this will become local variable. So I'm not accessing this local variable C outside the function, so I'll not get any issue. Okay. So this is how you need to create variables in PHP. So this is a small topic. We'll discuss it tomorrow's class. Losing your time. You have another class, right? So we'll discuss in tomorrow's class. I request all of you to please text your roll numbers if you have not texted and then leave the class.